Top 10 Scariest Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Stories are considered a form of communication that is shared through human language and sometimes written. Most of the time, they are created based on one's life and experience, while others in their dreams. Did you know that the first people expressed their stories through wall paintings? To be specific, based on studies, the Homo sapiens are the first people to tell their stories in the walls of Lascaux Cave. This means everyone has their own story to tell, and we are all good at it. It can be sad, happy, frightening, nerve wracking, inspiring, or confusing. It is also a form of art because it helps us express and influence other people. According to studies, human behavior is influenced by stories heard. It can cause someone to become better, more sociable, or help in decision making. An example of this is when we hear or tell stories. We can absorb it, and we can analyze the problem and come up with a solution. Stories can help us understand the situation even if we haven't experienced it. It helps us create a picture in our mind about the scenarios that are currently happening or might happen in the future. It can inspire us, especially if we find it relatable. We can often hear or read it in the form of books, tabloids, magazines, commercials, programs, or movies. It continues to take part in our daily lives, like when you go to school, work, in the church, malls, parks, home, etc. In reality, we are surrounded by stories. It is just up to us if we choose to listen or share it. But did you know that there are stories that are so scary that they shouldn't be told when it's dark? Why? Because they will make you shiver. After hearing them, you'll find it hard to sleep at night or you wouldn't want to stay in the dark. If you want to hear them, make sure you don't switch channels and stay tuned. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell on your side. Welcome back to the Unlimited Tens channel. In today's video, we'll give you the countdown for the top 10 scariest scary stories to tell in the dark. Before we start the countdown, turn on your lights and look around you because these stories might give you chills. Starting our countdown on number 10 is the story of the white satin evening gown. Gowns are essentially special on formal occasions, debut, weddings, awards night, prom, and more. But after hearing our story based on an urban legend, would you still want to rent a gown? It all started when a poor girl from a poor family was invited in a ball. Couldn't afford a new dress to wear, she decided to rent a gown from a cheap boutique. Looking for a nice dress, she found a fancy satin white gown and wore it in a ball. People have noticed the beauty of her gown and became the belle of the ball. While she was dancing with her date, she suddenly felt dizzy. She thought she was just tired from dancing too much, so she told her date to take her home. But the next morning, her mom found her lifeless while lying in her bed. Was it because she was sick, or does it have something to do with the dress that she wore that night? You guess. The result of the investigation suggests that the dress that she wore was from a corpse and the dress was stolen the day before its burial. But how can a dress kill someone? The answer lies in the satin white gown. The embalming fluid that sits in the cloth of the dress was activated when she sweated from dancing. She was poisoned when it came through her skin and slowly stopped her blood flow. This urban legend was believed to originate in the Midwest of America. But looking up in the Greek mythology, it appears that Hercules and Medea experienced the same thing. Could it be that a curse passes through generations? Let's hope not. Lingering on number 9 is the high beams. Driving at night can relieve stress, but sometimes it can give you more stress. This is the story of the senior high school student who's driving herself home to her family. Suddenly, a driver behind her started to flash his lights with high beam and tailgating her. At first, she thought that the man in the pickup truck was just in a hurry and trying to pass her, but he continued. To her panic and thinking that she is being harassed, she drove herself fast to reach home. There in the driveway, she left her car and yelling for his father to call the police. Could it be that she was too attracted to the girl, or is there more to discover? Well, the man in the pickup truck stopped, and when the police officers arrived, he explained to them that he was just trying to warn her about the intruder who was in her backseat that is holding a knife. He was trying to save her, so he flashed the beam so high every time he sees the intruder trying to stab her. He thought she would stop on the side and listen to him, but good thing nothing bad happened to the girl. The intruder in the back seat was an evil spirit since they didn't see anyone inside the car after the incident. Creepy. So next time you drive yourself home, always check the back seat. Playing hide and seek on number 8 is the story of the bride. After the wedding, parties are set up for the newlywed. Some throws them a beach wedding reception and throw the bouquet to the lucky single lady, while others stick to the funny games, presentations, or liquor night. But in our next story, the newlywed decided to play an unusual game for weddings. The bride decided to play a hide and seek game with the guests and, of course, with her husband. Maybe she was thinking that her husband will romantically catch her, isn't it? That's why she decided to play that game. When the game started, she decided to hide in the old chest upstairs, thinking that it would be the best place to hide since no one will think that she is there. But unfortunately, when she was about to get inside, the lid fell to her and knocked her unconscious. They searched for her for so many days, but since they didn't suspect the old chest, nobody came to look at it. Years have passed, and they haven't found her. Not until a maid went upstairs to get some stuff and accidentally opens the chest. To her surprise, she has discovered the skeleton of the missing bride, curled in the trunk wearing her wedding dress. What an unfortunate event to the newlywed. Don't you think they should ban the hide and seek game after the wedding? Betting on number 7 is the story of the girl who stood on a grave. Betting is fun when doing it with your friends, but sometimes it can be so dangerous. So dangerous that it can cost someone's life. This is what happened in our next story. The story started when a girl grabbed the bet to get $1 from her friends. She was instructed to stand above the grave of her liking and stab the knife into the ground. With that, they will know that she was really there that night. However, when she stabbed the knife into the ground, she accidentally pierced her skirt too. When she was about to stand up, she fell into the ground. She thought that she was being pulled under by the spirit who rests in the grave where she stands. When the sun rose, her friends started to look for the grave where she stabbed the knife into the ground. But instead of just a knife, they found her dead body above the grave. They found out that later that night, she died screaming for help. This is a sure proof that not all bets are safe and graveyards aren't playground. Just imagine how a dollar bill and a silly bet took someone's life. Sleeping on number 6 is the story of the 2 college roommates. We always have that one friend where even though you aren't related by blood, they mean so much to you. This is the picture of 2 college girls in our story. The story started Wednesday. Because of this, Marie doesn't want to go anywhere so she can focus on reviewing, while her friend Tara, who happened to be her best friend and roommate, insisted that she wanted to go out on a date with a cute guy from one of the sports team in their school. Since Marie didn't agree to go, Tara left her so she can focus. Later, after her date night, Tara head back to her room. She saw that Marie was in her bed, so she decided not to turn on the lights so she won't disturb her in her sleep. Tara woke up early so they won't be late for the test, but she noticed that her friend is still lying on her bed. When she moved closer to her, she saw the terrifying scene. Marie's bed is soaking with her blood, and above her is an eerie message that was written from her blood that reads, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights?" How shocking! We are pretty sure that after hearing this, you'll be checking your roommates and possibly won't turn off the lights while you were sleeping. To what really happened to Marie? Nobody knows. All that is clear is she was killed that night when her friend was on a date. Peeking on number 5 is the story of the keyhole. Most of us find comfort in sleeping with hotels after a long drive. But would it still be comfortable if you have witnessed something spooky? This is what happened to the man who decided to check in a hotel for the weekend. Walking to his room, he noticed that there is a particular room that is closed and has no room number attached to its door. To his curiosity, he asked the hotel personnel about it and they told him that no one is allowed to stay or enter that room. But their answer didn't satisfy his curiosity, so the next night, he decided to peek in the keyhole. He saw nothing but a normal hotel room with an old pale white woman lying on the bed, so he went back to his room. The next night, he got so curious again and peeked at the keyhole. But this time, all he can see is red. Since he can't identify what he saw, he asked the receptionist at the front desk about the room. Then she told him that years ago, a woman with an albino condition with red eyes was murdered in that hotel. This time, maybe you have figured out what he saw the next night. It was the red eye of the deceased woman. So technically, he can't see anything because he is making an eye-to-eye contact with the dead. Scary. Creeping on number 4 is the clown statue. We can see clown especially during a kid's party or in an amusement park. But what if you see this in your house? This is the story of the babysitter who was newly hired to look after the children for the night. Before leaving, the parents of the children instructed her to watch TV in their room, which is just next to the children's room, because they are having nightmares recently. The kids slept easily that night. However, when she was about to watch TV in the couple's room, she saw the creepy-looking clown statue that is about the size of a human on the corner of the room. Feeling uneasy, she called the dad, asked permission if she can just watch downstairs because the clown in their room really freaks her out. The dad responded nervously to the babysitter, telling her to get his children and leave the house immediately because they don't have a clown statue at home. What a hair-raising statement. Sure, if it's one of you, you'll be leaving the house immediately without looking back. So remember, if you happen to take a part-time job as a babysitter, always ask if they have a statue at home. Sitting on number 3 is the Hitchhiker. Being a good Samaritan in this world is a happy feeling. But what if the person that you are trying to help doesn't belong to the world of the living? This is the chilling story of the couple who were driving to get home. While they are hitting the dark road, they saw a girl that seems to be looking for a ride. Since the two couple has a good heart, they offered her a ride home. The girl thanked them and gave her the address. While they were on their way and trying to open up a conversation, they couldn't hear anything from the girl, so they thought that she might have fallen asleep. But when the driver asked her if they stopped in the right house, they saw no one in their back seat. They went out to knock on the door of the house where the girl led them. To their surprise, elderlies opened the door and told them that they don't know the girl that they were looking for. But what's shocking is that years ago, their daughter was killed in a brutal car accident near the spot where they saw the hitchhiker. We all think that this couple wouldn't send a stranger home again next time. Hanging on number 2 is the story of the girl who was afraid of the dark. Most of us couldn't stand being in a total darkness. Aside from being creepy, it can cause anyone with a phobia to panic. Same as the little girl in our story. Once, there was a little girl who was afraid of the dark. To feel the security at night, she let her dog sleep under her bed. Every time she feels so scared, she will put her hand down to his dog and the dog will lick it. By that, she knows that she is not alone and falls asleep faster. One night, a strange dripping sound woke her. She got so scared, so again, she put her hand down and felt secured. The next morning, she found her dog dripping with blood and hanging in the middle of her room. On the side of her wall, she found a message written with blood that reads, "Humans can lick too." Poor little girl. That might have given her a trauma. From number 10 to number 2, they made us feel that we are not alone in our room. Right now, you might be looking around your house and checking your doors. But wait till you hear our number 1. Topping our countdown for today is the Hawaiian night marchers. Beaches are a source of happiness. They can help us boost our mood and wipe our stress away. But what if your trip turns into a spooky route? This is the Hawaiian legend that haunts the visitors in one of its beaches. It is said at night, some marchers rise from the ocean. So what's the problem there? The problem is, they are not alive. They are the deadly ghost that marches at night. They are ancient warriors that rise from the ocean and visit the ancient battle sites or sacred places. According to the legend, they wear battle gears and carries a spear. Some of them are holding clubs, beating war drums, and one of them is blowing the conch shell, which is a sign that they will move in their march. As they rise from their ocean and march, they remain suspended in the air and they do not touch the waters. You might ask, why did they use the tagline deadly? That's because the legend says that any mortal man or woman who looks at them or accidentally encounter them will brutally die. So if you think that you're hearing the sound of conch shells, you better stay where you are and no matter what happens, do not look. These stories may sound scary and disturbing, but let's try to take them as a warning of what may happen if we put our guards down. Also, no matter how scary they may appear to us, what's more dangerous are the notorious criminals that are just hiding anywhere. Like what they say, don't fear the dead, but fear the living. Makes sense, right? Which of these stories scared you the most? Or do you have a story of your own? Type it down on our comment section below and we would love to read them all. This has been our countdown for the top 10 scariest scary stories to tell in the dark. Join us again next time for another exciting and informative video. Ciao!